Start the class. Okay, so so far like what we covered was like related to the Java. So the core Java, like the functions, methods, like different classes, how to write the code in Java. So all those things like we have covered in the core Java, and that was part of the Java itself. And not only that, like before that, like we saw something about the RC, which is remote control. Like in the remote control, we saw like how to open a browser and how to like launch the URL into it. And like let me open like one of our script. Yeah, see something like this. Like we have created like we recorded it first in the IDE, and from the IDE, like we also like converted that code into the JUnit RC JUnit code, and we copied it here, and we did some changes to it, and we executed it. Okay, and like it was able to open the browser based on whatever the type of the browser that we give here, and we were able to execute that code in different browsers like Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, and all these types of browsers. Okay, so and with the RC, like what we had, like there was a problem, like there were some limitations with the RC. The limitations were like, first thing was it was injecting the JavaScript into the browser. Okay, so what this RC does is whenever it opens a browser, to recognize the objects in that browser, like what it does is it injects JavaScript into it, and based on that only it will be able to understand, like it will understand what that code is or how that code is. Okay, or what those objects are in that application. Okay, so in that way, like it understands. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so with that, like it understands with the help of the JavaScript injection. So the RC understands those objects in the browser, and it's able to interact with it. Okay, so that's one of the limitations. So what that happens is like it injects the JavaScript, so it is injecting its own code into the browser, and some browsers don't support it, like they don't support like the JavaScript injection. Okay, so sometimes it doesn't support, and also not only that, because of that JavaScript injection, the browser becomes very slow. The execution is very slow because of that. Okay, and not only that, like we cannot create some custom classes, custom classes in the sense, like let's say now what we are doing is, see, we are creating the default class of Selenium, like Selenium equal to new default Selenium. So we are, this default Selenium is a class that has been already defined. So now what we can do, all we can do is we can create the object of this default Selenium, and we have to pass those methods, like what type of parameters that we want to. So what is the URL, port, and everything to it. So we can only create one type, like one of these class. We cannot create any of our custom classes. Okay, so we can just create an object of the default Selenium and we can use it. Okay, so we cannot make much modifications to this default Selenium class because it's already defined, and we cannot make any changes to it. Okay, and not only that, like this Selenium RC, it does not support the mobile devices, iPads, and Android phones. Okay, so nowadays, like most of the applications should also like will also be used in the mobile devices also. So what we need to do, like we need to also test that application in those devices directly. Let's say if you test it in a browser, we'll not be able to release that product to the end client. Like we also need to test it on the devices also, like mobile devices, like all the phones. Okay, and that is not supported by the Selenium RC. So we cannot test the phones or iPads, Android devices with the help of this RC. And also the development work for the Selenium has been stopped because like the company which developed this RC, like they are no longer working on it. So what they said is like, okay, whatever that is working correctly or whatever that is there presently, like it is like that. So they are not making any new upgrades or any new changes. Like for example, it does not support the mobile devices. So they are not doing anything to make it work for the mobile devices. So the development has been stopped. So because of that, like not many people are using Selenium RC. Instead, like they have released a new product called as WebDriver, like which is a Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so whatever the issues that they have in the Selenium RC, they overcome that with the help of this Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so it's same thing like a RC itself, but it has more features. See, like the Selenium 1.0 is nothing but RC. So Selenium 1 and the new product that they introduced is the WebDriver. So now what they are calling is they are like in Selenium RC plus WebDriver is equal to like Selenium 2.0. Okay, so this is how we call it. Like instead, like in case if someone says that what is Selenium 2.0, we can say that RC plus WebDriver, we need to call it as a Selenium 2.0. Okay, and this WebDriver supports all the browsers including the mobile devices also. Okay, so you can, like with the help of this WebDriver, you can execute your or create your scripts and execute your scripts on Internet Explorer, Android, Chrome, like Firefox, or any of these. Okay, so all the phone, iOS, like Android, everything can be supported with the help of this WebDriver. Okay, and not only that, see, it's a very friendly API, like it's very easy compared to Selenium RC, and we can create directly, like we can create our own custom all driver class also. Okay, we'll see what that custom driver class and how we create it, like we'll see all those things. Okay, and see, it's a WebDriver is a successor for RC because the latest version of RC is the WebDriver, and it's a very friendly API compared to the RC, and it helps test to easily understand. And in this WebDriver, it does not inject JavaScript into the browser, okay, but it uses a different technology to understand the browser. Okay, it's not like Selenium RC which was using JavaScript. This uses simply a different technology to understand the browser and its objects. Okay, and also see, it's not tied to any particular framework, so we can be used from a plain Java method also. Okay, so if you see our Selenium RC, see there are some tags here, @before, @test, and @after. So basically this is a JUnit framework. Okay, we'll see the JUnit framework, but by default, like when you create a RC, like we need to have all these three methods like @before, @test, and @after. Okay, so see, if you see here, we don't even have a main method. So one is setup, one is test IDE, and the other one is teardown. Okay, so even this is a class, see, a class, public class Gmail, and three different methods in it. Okay, so we don't even have a main method here. So we have to for sure use this JUnit framework to create the scripts in Selenium RC, but that's not the case with the WebDriver. So you don't need to use this any framework in there. Purely directly we can call it from the plain old Java main method also. Okay, so whatever the class that we create, like you can create your own class, you can create your own main method in it, and in that main method you can create the WebDriver class. Okay, so this one, it needs the JUnit, which we'll see what the JUnit is. Okay, and also see, WebDriver is like a compact object oriented API, like compared to the Selenium 1.0. So it's very lightweight and it's very easy to understand compared to the Selenium RC, and it's very fast also. Okay, and we can be used with this WebDriver can be used to create a robust browser based regression testing automation. Okay, so with the help of this WebDriver, like we can automate only the web based application, and we can create a like a regression framework, and we can create our scripts using this WebDriver. Okay, and also see, like with the Selenium RC, what we were doing, we were executing, like we were starting a Selenium server. Okay, I hope you guys remember it. Like what we did, we went to command prompt, see something like this, and then we went to the folder where we have the jar files, cd ... to come out, then let's say cd Satish, then I'll say dir, see cd Selenium, then dir, see cd jars. Okay, and again I'll say dir. See, like you have your Selenium standalone server .jar. So what we did, like with the Selenium RC, we need to start that server. Okay, then only it can understand. And if you go back to our RC structure. Okay, see what it was doing. You have the code and then you have the server, and the server was talking to the browsers. So what are the code that we have? We used to send it to the server, and the server will understand that code, and then it was sending the commands based on our code to the browsers. Okay, so that's why we were starting that Selenium server. Okay, we can go here and say java-jar, and like we can start that jar file. We were starting it with the jar file. Okay, but that's not the case with the Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so we don't even need to start a browser server. Instead, directly we can associate it and it will take care of it. Okay, we don't need to like start any servers. Okay, so let me go back to our, yeah. Okay, see, and not only that, like Selenium server has built-in grid capabilities. In the sense, see, grid, like we'll see what that grid is. So basically what this grid means, you can execute your scripts from one machine to the other machines. Let's say you have 10 systems in your network, okay, and you have 10 scripts that you want to execute. So from your system, you can kick off and you can execute those scripts in different machines. That can be done with the help of this grid functionality. Okay, we'll see what the grid is, like how to execute the scripts on different machines. Okay, but that's what the grid is. So Selenium server has that built-in grid capabilities. Okay, so we can use the server and we can execute it in multiple systems. Okay, and not only that, see, we can execute them in different environments on around different machines. Okay, that's what the grid is. Like with the help of the grid, we can execute our scripts in different machines, and that machines can have whatever the type of operating system or whatever the type of browsers and everything. Like one system can have Windows 10, one can have Windows 8, and one can have something else. Okay, and not only that, in one system itself, like you can execute on different browsers at the same time. Like in system 1, let's say if it has Windows 10 and it has 3 different browsers installed like Firefox, Internet Explorer, and Google Chrome. So using this grid, what we can do is we can execute our script at a time in all those 3 browsers. Okay, in the same machine, like same time you can execute on 3 different browsers. Okay, we'll see that, like how to execute that. We'll see it with the help of this grid. Okay, and like see, it drives like it's very effective compared to the browser, like very fast, because it does not inject the JavaScript. Okay, it's a simple, more concise interface compared to the uh, RC. Okay, and it overcomes all the limitations of the RC, like single host origin policy. Like all these, there are some limitations with the RC, so WebDriver overcomes all of them. Okay, and basically how this WebDriver works is also same like the RC itself, but in a different way. Okay, so again, with the help of, like, you can use any of the languages to write the code. Like you can use Java, you can use Ruby, you can use C#, or you can use Python. Okay, so now like we are using the Java, but in the same way, let's say if the people know some different languages other than Java, they can also use that to test the application with the help of this Selenium. Okay, so what it does is, like in that Java, in using your tool like IDE, like how we are using Eclipse, you can write your own code, and that code will be passed to the Selenium server. Okay, and that server will pass it to these drivers. Okay, so Firefox driver, IE. So if you want to execute your script on the Firefox, you need to have this Firefox driver. Like we'll create the Firefox driver. If you want to execute on the IE, you have to create this IE driver, Chrome driver, like this. There are many drivers, like for all the types of applications, look, you have one type of driver in there. So all we need to do is we'll create the driver, and then we'll use that driver, with the help of the driver, to find objects in that application and perform some task on that application. Okay. Okay, so this is about the WebDriver. So let's try to create one script and understand like how we can create that WebDriver object and work with the application. Okay, see, let me open one new script. So what I'll do is I'll create one package here. See, right click, new package, and I'll give it as, let's say, something com.test.webdriver. Okay, so com.test.webdriver. Okay, you can give whatever the name that you want to. I just gave WebDriver, so I'll create or store all my scripts related to the WebDriver in that package. Okay, so right click, say new class, and let's give some name to it. Let's say first underscore WebDriver. Okay, just some name to that script. Okay, and we want to have this main method in it. So public static void main, and finish it. Okay, so it created a class called WebDriver, like first WebDriver, and main method in it. Okay, so let's take this line of code out. Okay, and now we can start doing or writing our code. Okay, so in this main method, like you can create the WebDriver and then we can start working with it. Okay, so before that, like before writing the code, like with the help of the IDE also, like we can create our scripts. Okay, so how, like what we did with the help of the IDE, see, let me go to the Firefox browser. So let me minimize this so that I can open the Firefox browser. Okay, so let me go to the demoaut.com, some website. Okay, and I'll open the Selenium IDE. Okay, so let me go back to our, okay, and see, if you see here in the options format, see, we can see different types of formats on how you can convert it. And last time what we were using is like the JUnit 4, like Java JUnit 4 remote control. Okay, so we recorded something in the IDE and then we converted that code into the remote control code. Okay, and whatever that we got it from there, see, whatever the code that we got it from here, we just copied it from here and we pasted in the like Eclipse IDE and we were executing it from there. Okay, so that means like we are converting the IDE code into the JUnit RC remote control code. Okay, in the same way we can also convert that code into the browser also, like WebDriver also. Okay, see, let me open a new test case and go back to our HTML view, see format and HTML view, say OK, and come to the table. Okay, so and I'll delete this test case. So now we have just a plain thing, like plain test case. And see, let's start the recording. See, click to record and then go into the application. Let's say I'll click on the sign on. Okay, and I'll enter some username and password, Mercury and Mercury, and click on submit. So it's a plain recording like what we did in the initial classes, and see, it is generating the code for it. And then let's say if I select one way and the list I'm selecting, let's say 2, and then like click on continue. Okay, and continue, and then entering something here, tester Selenium as the last name. Okay, and let's say this checkbox and click secure purchase and sign off. Okay, so let's go back to the IDE and let's stop the recording. Okay, say it created the code, whatever the actions that we performed in the application, so it generated the code. So this is what we learned it in the previous like initial classes. So then what we did, like once the recording has been completed, like we can go to the options, format, and we converted into the JUnit for remote control. Okay, in the same way now we can also convert into WebDriver also. Okay, see Java JUnit for WebDriver, like you also have Java TestNG WebDriver. So forget about this JUnit 4 and the TestNG because we'll see that later after WebDriver. but it's a framework. Okay, we'll see about those frameworks. But whatever the code that we just created, we can convert into JUnit as well as we can convert into WebDriver also. Okay, so let's try the JUnit. So I'll select this JUnit, and it says just like experimental thing, just say okay. Okay, see the code has been converted. So let's do a Control A on this. Like let's select everything, Control C. Okay, and we can paste it here. So instead of in this first WebDriver, like I'll create a new class, okay, and give it as, let's say, demo AUT. Okay, and I'll not use the static main method also, because I'll just copy paste whatever that we got from the IDE. Okay, so see, I'll paste it here and I'll just change the class because it's demo AUT, so the class name should be same as the file name. Okay, see, instead of untitled, I will give it as demo AUT. Okay, click on save. See, this is the example test. We can remove this one also. Okay, and save it. Okay, so now if you see here, like there are lot of errors here. Okay, because it's not able to understand what is org.junit, it's not able to understand what is WebDriver, @before, Firefox driver. See, it's not able to understand all these things. Okay, because it's a JUnit. So for our code to understand the JUnit or Java to understand what the JUnit is, we need to have the jar file associated. Okay, so I'll go to the main project folder, right click, say properties, okay, and then go to Java build path and we'll add it here. Okay, so I'll say add external files or add external jars. So same thing what we did for the other jar files, CPOI and other jar files, we have to add it to our build path. So I'll click on the add external jars and select our JUnit framework. So click open and apply, click OK. Okay, now once I save this, see some of the errors have been gone. See, JUnit is gone, @before is gone, @test error is gone. So some of the errors have been gone. Okay, and now there are still some more errors. See, it's not able to understand what the driver is. Okay, so all these drivers it is not able to understand. So again, like we need to associate one more jar file to it. Okay, which is the Selenium server jar file. Okay, so right click, properties, okay, add external jars. See, like this is Selenium server standalone. Okay, so for the RC, what we were doing, we were executing this RC drive like standalone server. Okay, so we used to go to the command prompt, we used to go to the specific folder and then run this jar file. But with the WebDriver, we don't need to start the Selenium server. Instead, what we can do is we can come here and we can select this option and associate it to the jar, like our build path. Okay, see, I associate it to the build path, click apply, click OK. Okay, see, once I did OK, all the errors have been gone. Okay, so for this is what the difference is with the WebDriver and the RC. So for RC, you need to start the server. But for the WebDriver, we need to associate the jar file to the project. Okay, this is what we need to do it. And now if you see the code, see it has created again @before, @test and @after. Okay, because it's like a same thing, like it's a JUnit framework because we converted into a Java JUnit 4 framework. Okay, so that's why it did that. Okay, and it created some lines of code here. Okay, so we can also record it like that and we can then convert that code into the JUnit WebDriver. Okay, not only that, we can start our own writing our own code also. Okay, so we can record it and convert it. But in case if you don't want to do that, we can create our own code also. Okay, so now let's try to understand how this code works. Okay, so like there is something like this, driver equal to new Firefox driver and all these things. So let's write the code and then try to understand what we want to do. Okay, so I'll come back to our driver script. Okay, first WebDriver, and then let's start creating the object. Okay, so first thing is, like I said, it's a WebDriver. So we need to create the object of that WebDriver class. So how to do that is, see WebDriver driver equal to some name to it. See, let's say I'll give it as lowercase driver equal to new. Let's say if you want to create a Firefox, I can say Firefox driver like this, and open and close the brackets, end it. Okay, see, this is how we need to create. So WebDriver driver equal to new Firefox driver. So if you want to work with the Firefox, we need to create the Firefox driver, and if you want to work with some other browser, we need to create that browser for that specific type. Okay, and see, if you see here, now there is some error. So let's see what that error is. See, first is, it says import WebDriver org.openqa.selenium. So we need to import the jar or the class for that specific WebDriver. So let's import it. Okay, see, now the WebDriver is gone, error for the WebDriver is gone, but now you have, see, for Firefox driver it has a error. So let's hover over it and see, import the Firefox driver like this. Okay, so now WebDriver driver equal to new Firefox driver. So this is what the WebDriver is. Like, we are creating the WebDriver and creating the object of that Firefox driver. Okay, and now using this driver you can talk to that Firefox browser. Okay, so first thing is, like, what we want to do, let's say, see, driver dot, like, what we want to do, like, you created the object of the Firefox. Okay, and so what it does is, like, it opens a Firefox browser to us. See, let me close this. So something like this, let's say it just opens a Firefox browser with a blank page. Okay, so in that blank page, like the main blank page, so see, let me close this, or something like this. See, it opens a blank page like this, and in that blank page, like, what we want to do, like, we want to open some URL, for example, see, demoaut.com. Okay, so let's copy this URL, and so from the script, like, we want to open that URL. Okay, and how to do that is, see, driver dot get. Okay, and in the codes, like, we need to provide the path of the browser or the URL for that browser. See, http://demoaut.com. Okay, and now let's save this. Okay, so what it will do, it will just, like, open the browser and it will open the Firefox in there. Like, it will open the Firefox browser and it will open the URL into it. Okay, so in case, so this is for the Firefox. See, like, Firefox browser. Okay, in case if you want to open some other browser, let's say you want to open a Chrome browser. See, for the Chrome, you need to do this, WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver like this. Okay, so let's comment this line of code and see, WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver. So again, for the Chrome driver, see, we need to import the Chrome driver from the openqa.selenium.co Chrome. See, WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver, and same thing, like, driver.get. So this does not change, but only the so based on which browser that you want to go to, so based on that class object you need to create. Okay, and in the same way, let's say if it is for the Internet Explorer. Okay, see, for IE, same thing, WebDriver driver equal to new Internet Explorer driver like this. Okay, again, download this Internet Explorer driver. See, import Internet Explorer driver, save it like this. Okay, so based on the browser that you want to open, you need to select it like this. So in the same way, like if you want to open a Safari, you have one browser. If you want to open a let's say iOS something, like you can do it with that specific browser. Okay, and not only this, like see, so let me run it on the Chrome driver, see, and save it. Okay, so driver WebDriver equal to new Chrome driver, and we are just going to that specific URL. Okay, and just to know, so see, I'll create system.out.println and I'll say script started, and after that I'll have one more println like script ended, just for us to see. Okay, and I'll close this browser. Okay, see, let's save this, and we already associated our Selenium server, so we don't need to run any server now. So all we need to do is see, we created the code and let's run it. So just say right click, run as, see, Java application. Okay, see, we got a error here. See, it says exception in thread. See, let me maximize it. See, exception in thread main java.lang.illegal state exception, and the error is, see, the path to the driver executable must be set by the webdriver.chrome.driver. Okay, so what it says is, see, you are creating a WebDriver like a Chrome driver object. Okay, but I don't know where that Chrome driver is. Okay, so what we need to do is, if it is only Firefox, by default we don't need to provide any path. So by default it talks to that Firefox, it launches it. Okay, but whereas for the Chrome driver or Internet Explorer driver, we need a jar file for it. Okay, or sorry, not a jar file, but it's a exe file that we need for us or for Selenium to talk to those browsers. Okay, I already downloaded that. See, let me open that for you. See, if you see here, like I downloaded the Chrome driver.exe and IE driver.exe. Okay, so basically these are the two exe files that you need to have in order for Selenium to talk to the browsers. Okay, and this path we need to provide. See, we have stored that file in some location. So in our script, we need to tell to Selenium that, okay, our jar files or exe files are located at this location, so please use it from here. Okay, so to do that, like what we need to do is, see, okay, there is something called system dot set property. Okay, and to this we need to provide that property, and for if it is a Chrome, see, we need to provide it something like this, like WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. Okay, and the value is the path of that exe file. See, let me go and get the path. See, slash let's say it's a Chrome, so Chrome driver dot exe, like this. Okay, and as it is in Java, like we need to provide the path like this, double backslash, like this. Okay, and save it. See, there is an error, end of the statement, like this. Okay, so with the help of this line of code, we are updating the WebDriver that, okay, the jar file, or sorry, the exe file for the Chrome is located at this path, and you can use it from there. Okay, so only for the Firefox we don't need to provide anything. For the Chrome and for the Internet Explorer and other browsers, we have to provide the exe path like this. Okay, so now let me run this. Right click, run as Java application. Okay, see, it says starting Chrome driver and it opened a browser for us. Okay, again looks like there is some error, so let's go back and see what it is. Okay, so it says the script is started and it says unreachable browser. Okay, so actually here we have to give http www.demoaut.com. Okay, so it's able to open the browser, but it's able to talk to it and send the control to it. So that's why it was giving the error. See, let's close this again and rerun it. So right click, run as Java application. What's happening to this? It's got the same error. Let me see what it is doing it. Okay. Let me see with the Google. www.google.com. I had some issues with my Firefox, so that's why I was using Chrome, but looks like even that has some issues. Let me see. Single line code, like why is it? From driver.exe itself. Let me see with HTTPS. Let me try with the IE. Okay, and instead of Chrome driver.exe, I'll give it as Internet Explorer IE driver.server. Like, let's try this one and see. Oh, sorry. This should not be Chrome, so it should be WebDriver.IE driver like this. So for the Chrome, it should be WebDriver.Chrome.driver. For IE, it should be WebDriver.IE driver and the path for the driver. So right click, run as Java application. Yeah, see, this one is opening it. See, google.com. Okay, the same code, like I didn't make any changes. Looks like something is wrong with the Chrome driver, but like, see, this is how it does. It opens a browser and it opens google.com into it. Okay, in the same way, let's try for the other URL also and see, just stop the script started and script ended. So instead of Google, I'll say demoaut.com. And that's not a HTTPS, it's a HTTP. See, let's run this. See, now it opened demoaut.com. Okay, so looks like something is wrong with the Chrome driver, so that's why it couldn't open it, but IE, see, it's opening it. Okay, so this is how we can create the class of object of that specific driver, and then using that driver we can launch the URL. So now let's say after launching the URL, what we need to do, let's say we want to click on something, for example, let's say where is the browser? Yeah, Okay, let's say we want to click on this sign on link, or we want to click on this register link, like support link or a contact link. And then after clicking on the register link, let's say you want to enter all the details in it, like first name, last name, phone number, and all these details. And let's say you want to perform some registration on that page. Okay, so what we need to do, so in the code, like we have to write something, like let's say from the driver, like we need to tell, okay, go and click on this link, go and click on something else. So to do that, like what we need to know is, we need to know the properties of that object. Okay, so what this sign on is, what this register is, like with the help of that property itself, like we'll be able to click on that object. Okay, which we saw in previous class, like when we were talking about the RC, like at that time, like we saw it, like there is a tool called as like Firepath and Firebug in Firefox. Okay, so using the Firebug, like we can see or know the properties of that specific object. Okay, see if you open the Firefox. Okay, so when we were talking about the Selenium and we were writing the code, at that time I explained like how to see the object properties in the Firebug. Okay, and also how to install the Firebug. See, let me go to that specific URL, demoaut.com, and see you have the Firebug. Okay, so we already installed it in this. Like all we need to do is just click on that Firebug. So once you click on this, see like there are different tabs here. Just click on console. Okay, and now see, click on a element, like there is a button here, click on a element which will give you the path of that specific objects. Okay, see, click on this, and if you select this, see you get the properties of that object. Okay, in the same way, if you click on register, see this, and if you click on this username, see input name is username, see something like this, like input name is username, like name of one of the property of that object is name, and the value for that property is username. Okay, in the same way, see if I click on this and select the password, see this input name is password, so the name of that object is password object. So like this, like with the help of the Firebug, like we can know the properties of the object. Okay, and with the help of this itself, like you have to write it in the code, like in the code, because our Selenium does not know what that object is or what you need to do on that object. So the first thing that we need to do is, like we need to help Selenium to recognize that object, and then what task that you want to perform on that object. Okay, so the first step would be finding that object. So how to do that is, see driver dot, okay, so there is a method called find element. Okay, so we want to first find that element, and for that you have to give the property here. Okay, and for what to find an object, there are different properties using which you can find that object, and one of them is like ID. See, like let me open a notepad. Okay, so there are different ways or properties using which you can identify the object. Okay, one is name property. Okay, so name of that object. Okay, so all these properties are given to that object by the developers. So when the developers are developing the object, they'll give those properties. So those properties, you can, with the help of those properties itself, we can identify that object. So for that, we can use any of these properties. One can be name, then ID, and like name, ID, then you have CSS, then you have XPath, then you have like link name. Okay, like that. Okay, so every object will have some one or multiple of these type of properties, and you can select whichever the property that you want to. Okay, so you can either select a name property or a ID property or a CSS, XPath, or the link name. Okay, and if you see here in the browser, in the Firefox, see name. See, this is what I'm talking about. So every object will have one or the other property. So this object is having only the name property. Okay, see input name is password, then sign, then type, like that. Okay, so using this property we can recognize this object. Okay, so first for the links, let's say we want to click on this link, like sign on link. So what we can do is, see, let's go to our browser. So for the link, what we can do is by dot link text. See, by dot link text. Okay, and here you can give which text you want to click. Let's say I want to click register. So go and check, see, everything is uppercase and it's register. So we can say, see, register, register, like this. Okay, so that means, like, see, driver dot find element by link text dot register. Okay, so either you can say link text or link name, link text. So using the link text, see, we recognize the object. So after recognizing what we want to do, like we want to find that object which has the link text as register, and then we want to click on that register link. And how to do that is, see, dot click, like this. Okay, driver dot find element, like we want to find the element with the help of a link text. Okay, and then we want to click on that object. Okay, see, let's save it and run it. So I'll close the old browser and run it. See, okay, see, looks like it didn't click it. It went up to the browser and see, it says unable to find a element with the link text register. Okay, so maybe there is an exception, or like it did not have much time, because like once you open a browser, see, once you open a browser, we are clicking it, but for our application to be displayed, it's taking some time. Okay, it took maybe a couple of seconds of time, and by that time our driver, it's just passing out, like it's going into the next line of code. Okay, so in these kinds of scenarios, like what we need to do is, like in case if your application is slow and your code is executing fastly, like what we need to do is, we need to do a synchronization between your script and your code. Okay, so how we can do that is with the help of, see, thread dot sleep. Okay, so what we are saying to Selenium or the code is, okay, why don't you sleep for some time, like wait for some time until my application gets displayed. Okay, see, thread dot sleep 500 seconds, like it's a milliseconds. Okay, and see, there is a error. See, hover over it and it says add throws declaration. So it's like says it's a exception. There might be an exception for this. So just do a throws declaration. See, click on this, which will add a exception. See, I'll select the exception, like this. Okay, so now let's run it and see. So all we are doing is just adding a wait time, so that our browser or the code will wait until the browser displays everything. Okay, see, let's run it now. It still did not do it. It still says unable to find the element on close window. This close window. Link dot register only. See, even here it does the same thing. See, let's try this one. Instead of register, I'm trying the sign on link. Okay, instead of 5,500, I'll say 1000 seconds, milliseconds. So run as Java application. It still says the same thing. See, by link.text sign on.click. Let's run this and see. No. Wait, let me close it and restart it again with a different browser. So instead of Firefox, I'll give Internet Explorer itself. Okay, and I'll copy this path also, because without the path we cannot do it. Okay, so let me run this and see. Actually, there are 3-4 browsers that got open. Let me close everything. Let's stop it. See, for all our executions, it had a browser open. So let me close everything and rerun it. It's still running. Let's see until it throws an error. Let's see it, what happens to it. See, it already stopped and it says no such element find. It's unable to find that sign on link. I don't know, even with this code, see the recorded code, like we didn't even write, it's a recorded code, but still it didn't find it. Let me try something else. Instead of this one, let's try something else. See, driver dot find element, Firefox. Let's try to enter something in the username and see. See, find object, then say username. See, find element by name and its username. So I'll say by dot name, and in the quotes, see, username dot. See, now like what I want to do is I want to enter something into it. Like I want to enter some text into it, text message. So we should not be using click. Instead, like you have to use send keys. And here we have to give some name to it. Let's say Mercury, like this. Okay, so to type something, like if you want to click it, you need to use the click method, and if you want to write something into the edit box, we need to use the send keys. Okay, so let's save this, close the browser and try it. It's not even recognizing this too. It says unable to find the element and close window. What's happening to this? Let me open one old script and see if it is running. Okay, see, let's see this one. I'm opening a Chrome driver, then I'm launching the google.com and then going to that URL, see, and clicking on the send keys and sending Selenium, and we are clicking on the button. So see, let's run this and see. Run as Java application. Even see, looks like something is wrong with the system. See, even the one that was working also, it says it's communicating with the remote browser. Okay, so let me create the Firefox instead of Chrome. Let's see, I'll try to use something else and see. Okay, I'll change it to IE. Okay, and this. Okay, let's close this and see. Okay, see, let me run this again. Yeah, same error. I think looks like something got corrupted with my machine or something happened to it, so it's not able to recognize the objects. So let me see. It was working over the weekend. I don't know, something happened to it. Let me see in the other system. Continue with the we have the jar files, everything is there.